Hi there guys, so this is a quick video to do on what is quite possibly, well it actually I think is in fact the rarest run of guitars that ESP ever made. This was basically a Firebird copy, Gibson Firebird 5 because it has the two pickups here and the block markers, and as you can see here with the ESP logo, which would obviously be the right way up if you had the guitar, the right way up. Okay, and so just going to go through a few features of this guitar. First of all, you can see that it's got the I think it's a 7-ply, which goes all the way through to the back of the neck. Also, it's got the mirror knobs, so these are 60s sort of knobs. Stop tailpiece, this will be Goto hardware, and we've got the same old Duncan Firebird pickups, which sound really good. I'm going to do a very basic sound test a bit later in the video, just a rough test of it so you can hear it. It's actually got some very thin strings. I'm used to playing very thick strings, so I'll do my best with these. It's got a really nice maple board there, you can see, and the thickness, I would say it's a little bit thinner here, not as thin as some 1960s Les Pauls, and it gets a bit thicker here. So it's a beautiful kind of thin taper, but it's not too thin. It's just that nice size. The nut width is really nice. It's got a really nice nut width, which I really like, and the frets are pretty good as well, pretty good condition. It looks like it's been played a bit, which is a good sign, because obviously if you have a guitar which is played a lot, you know it's good. And I have it, you know, more vibrations going through the wood, all that sort of stuff. So you can see a bit of buckle rash here. And what's really cool about this guitar is, I'm going to compare this to a blue one that I had, which I will show you in the photo here. The really cool thing about this guitar is its nitrocellulose. Now the blue one I had was polyurethane, but this is nitrocellulose. I believe the blue one was polyurethane, I'm pretty sure it was. This is nitro, and the way you can check that is just from the checking. Now I don't know if it's going to pick it up in this light, but all across here you've got some marvellous nitrocellulose checking all from here. So it's really, again, this was released, I'm going to show you the catalogue now. So this is the catalogue from ESP, and this model was called an N265, okay? Now here's the interesting thing about it. Although it was branded ESP, its model number is N265, and as you can see on this page, they're basically all Navigator guitars. So they're all called like N, you know, whatever for the Flying V and the Les Paul and the whatever, and this was called N265. So this really is a Navigator guitar. It's the rarest kind of run of guitars that ESP ever did, because this was only available in 1995. I've seen very few of these examples. I've owned 2 of these now, but the other one I wasn't too sure if that one was real, because had a few things, like it had the pickguard was wrong, and it had some parts which were wrong. It didn't have a trusswood cover, and had the ESP kind of stamped on it, which looked a little bit fake. But I'm not, like I said, jury's out whether that was a real one or not. But this one certainly is, and this is absolutely beautiful. It's a nice lightweight. It's got a really good weight to it. And we've got the banjo tuners, okay, and here's the serial number. So this is a really beautiful instrument. Now another interesting thing about this guitar was that ESP sold this guitar for 265,000 yen in 1995, and in the Gibson catalogue they are selling a Gibson USA in Japan for, and check this out, check out, you can just see here in the photo here how much they were charging. So it was a lot less. It was a lot less than the ESP, so that is quite interesting. So they really did put, you know, this is kind of like a handmade, I guess a handmade instrument really, whatever that means, but it's very, very high quality. One of the best, certainly one of the best Firebird 5s I've come across. So yeah, it's even got the Firebird symbol here. And let's take a few things apart. Let's just have a look underneath the scratch plate, and let's have a look underneath. Let's have a look what's going on in here. So this is the cavity where the pots are. We've got 4 500k pots, and it looks like a really neat job soldering here, so it doesn't look like it's been modified in any way. The routing is really beautiful. That's really clean, and there's also some shielding kind of style paint, whatever it is. We've got some disc capacitors, and these are the older style caps that ESP were using in the 90s. Okay, we're just taking the scratch plate off. We've got a Gibson style L brackets with the switch there. And again, the same kind of situation here, some nice, neat routing. And I always like to take off the scratch plate because you can kind of see the quality of the finish as compared to the kind of the finish which is exposed here. But again, ESP seems to be really clean with the routing, and again they've put this kind of shielding paint job there, and looks like a really sort of neat job they've done. Okay guys, so here we are. This is just a real rough video just to show you some sounds of it. Just want to say before I play it, so I had a blue one of these, and there's a whole backstory here where I sold it. I kind of had seller's remorse because as soon as I sold it, the person that I sold it to, I tried to get it back, and realised that I really love Firebirds, you know. So it was really great to have to finally find another ESP Firebird, and again, this is a really cool, very well made, you know, highly detailed in its sort of construction, and just the sound is just absolutely fantastic. And this one is actually lighter than the blue one, and like I said, the blue one had poly, this has got nitro, so I'm not sure what the deal was between these two, but this is definitely, you know, I definitely think this is a better made one than the blue one I had. But anyway, that aside, what I really love about these guitars is you can pretty much play anything. I mean, there's a great guitar player who was called Eddie Chunk Willis, and he was like a Motown guy, and they're really great for rhythm guitar. Eddie Chunk Willis used to play a Firebird 3, so it had dots on it, but he actually put 3 Firebird pickups. I think eventually it had 3 pickups in there. It was modified for that. And then there was the great guitarist for Lynyrd Skynyrd, Alan Collins, who was a really fantastic guitar player, and I loved the fact that he had, I mean, he used to get Firebird 1s. And I'm going to make a kind of cool video about all this. I think in 2-3 days time on this channel you're going to see like a cool video on the whole Firebird thing. But just to give you a quick preview, you know, Alan Collins would put a P90 in there and modify them and put a whammy bar on it, and the way he used a whammy bar was just fantastic. So I'm thinking about, I might do this mod where you put a whammy bar on it. And I might just do some research into that, but I'll let you know, guys, what happens there. But just the thing with banjo tuners and the size of them, and they're just such a cool guitar. They're very good for sort of strumming. Great, you know, for doing these arpeggios. So, you know, just for that kind of stuff, harmonic, you know, the harmonics are jumping off this fretboard because of these pickups, you know. And then of course we go to the really cool, you know, obviously we've got to mention Johnny Winter, because he played the Firebird 5. He made, you know, you can't say Firebird really, let alone Firebird 5, which this is, without saying Johnny Winter, you know. And, you know, just incredible guitar player. You know, just great riffs like that. And what, you know, if you put a bit more overdrive, you know, they're just very fast guitars, they beautiful voice. So, you know, they've just got a really big voice on the rock sort of styles, but you know, and the beautiful sort of atmospheric, you can get some really beautiful. But yeah, just wanted to say ESP just really hit the ball out of the park when they made this replica. It's like I said, it was more expensive. You know, it's kind of like, I guess, a master-built version of a Firebird. And which is kind of rather strange that ESP would, you know, undertake such a, you know, which can be a very, I've got a friend who, my good friend Darren from Daniel's Guitars, he just made one of these, and he just said, you know, they're just, they're hard to make, you know, they're not an easy build, you know, because you've got these, the 7 laminate going all the way through, the neck through design, you know. But ESP just has done an absolutely wonderful job. Like I say, Nitrocellulose lacquer on it. Just absolutely perfect guitar. So I'm very, very happy, and just wanted to share you this great guitar from ESP. And they only made this for 1 year in 1995. If you ever come across one of these, man, just buy it. Just, you know. And I'll tell you what, I mean, I bought my blue one, the blue one which I sold. I bought that one for £600 from Japan. So that was a steal. I mean, it had a bit of a neck issue, so a bit of a crack here, and I think that's why I got it a bit cheap. That's why I got it cheap. That's why they were selling it cheap, rather. And I sold that one for, I think it was about 750 quid on Reverb a couple of years back. And as soon as I sold it, I had seller's remorse, and I was just searching for one of these. And so this one here I bought for £1,250. From Japan, but then you've got to figure in your customs, and it came with this huge case, a crazy SKB crate case, which this is absolutely massive, which I sort of packed it away somewhere. But it also came with this, which is the proper soft case that it came with, which is a really nice fitted sort of ESP case. Yeah, so it probably cost me £1,800 once I paid for the shipping and the because it was really heavy with the SKB case and so forth. So it's probably cost £1,800 all in. Bear in mind that was still actually cheaper, you know, relatively, than the original price of 265,000 yen in 1995, which was a lot of money. It wasn't cheap. You know, this was not a cheap guitar in 1995. This was an expensive, you know, custom-made guitar. So it was expensive this time round, but you know, it's I don't regret it one bit. It's a fantastic guitar. I'm going to use this on some gigs and recording, definitely. And just having the Firebird pickups. The reason I like the Firebird 5, a lot of people go for the Firebird 1, and of course ESP, they've only ever made the Firebird. They only made the Firebird 5, but you know, a lot of people who like blues guitar always want a Firebird 1 because why? Because Eric Clapton played one, you know, in cream for a short period, but you know, Eric Clapton played one for a very short period in cream, but it was a landmark tone. It was a tone that some people just say it's the best tone he ever had, you know, when he's playing kind of everything kind of, you know, crescendoed when he had this Firebird 1. It was the best amp sound, the best guitar sound. He was playing the best, Cream were playing the best. They'd written the best songs, and it was just like, that was the pinnacle. Then, you know, I'm not going to say that it went wrong after that, but, you know, Clapton still does some great stuff, so I'm not going to say that is the pinnacle. But, you know, a lot of people are loving the Firebird 1. Me personally, I love the Firebird 1. I love the Firebird 7 because Brian Jones is my hero. If you know this channel, I'm a big Brian Jones fan. He played the Firebird 7, as did Keith Richards. And but the Firebird 7 is a little bit too blingy for me. It's just too much going on here, you know. It's just too much. And it had an ebony board. And these are bright guitars anyway. You know, they're quite bright guitars anyway. So you don't really want ebony boards going to make it even brighter. But you know, that was like the Cadillac. You know, so a Firebird 1 was pretty cheap, and compared to a Firebird 7, there was a big difference in price. Even a Firebird 5 was more than twice as expensive as a Firebird 1 in the 60s. On the first editions of them. So the Firebird 3 is a really nice, I like the Firebird 3 because you've got the 2 pickups and you've got the dots, so it's just kind of a little bit more workmanlike. But I think for me, I like the Firebird 5, and there's a reason why I like it. Because one of my favourite bands of all time was BBM, which were when Gary Moore tried to, well, I guess it wasn't it kind of became what it became, which was Cream without Clapton. And Gary Moore tried to replace Clapton in a reunion type gig with Cream, and it kind of fell short. Although Charles Shaar Murray, who's a great British music critic, very well known here, he actually really liked them and said they were even better than Cream. So according to Charles Shaar Murray, they were better than Cream. But I don't think they were. I think they were something else. They weren't quite Cream, but I just love that album. It was a great album, some good songs. One song in particular I love, and I really love that. And there was this album cover, which I'm kind of a poster or an album cover, which I'm going to flash up now. And as you can see, Gary Moore is playing a Firebird 5. And so when I bought that album back in 92 or 93, I was only like, you know, I was 18, 19 years old. And when I bought that album, I was kind of listening to it, thinking it was a Firebird 5 all over that album for years, because we didn't have Google or YouTube then. And I just thought for years, all those tracks were played on a Firebird 5. That's why it sounds so good. And then, of course, now I realise it wasn't a Firebird 5. That was probably just a prop for the photo shoot. And he played his Les Paul basically on all the songs. But anyway, that's the reason I kind of always loved the Firebird 5, was because of Gary Moore on this poster with BBM. You know, Jack Bruce, the great Jack Bruce, and the great Ginger Baker. So that's kind of this video, guys. We're wrapping up Firebird ESP. It's kind of like, I wanted to show you this guitar because it's so rare and so different, and but it's kind of so known because it's a Firebird copy. But there you go. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and I shall see you soon, guys. Take care. God bless.